Okay, so welcome to this first event sponsored by the newly founded Peace Starts With Me Alliance. This is an organization comprised of various organizations focused on bringing peace to this world. That is our main focus. And we have just a few organizations, include the Family Federation for World Peace, Women's Federation for World Peace, our T for World Peace, Peace Starts With Me, T for World Peace, FatherCon, Jessica's organization, which
You can name it. Faith and Hope.
Faith and Hope. Thank you. Sorry. So we're just really thrilled that we have three speakers here. One who's, and I'm going to be introducing each one of them individually before they come up, so that we can remember who they are as they're speaking. So I am Betancourt, and I am the chairwoman of the San Diego chapter of Women's Federation for World Peace. So the point and the topic is how to protect our children from human trafficking. And as I said, I will introduce each one as they give their presentations. But while they each have their areas of expertise, it will become evident that the root of protecting our children starts in the family. That's the whole point. So because of time limitation, my introductions will in no way reflect the scope of the experience of these people. It's incredible how much experience and qualifications each one of them has. So our first speaker today is Rohida Khan, Mrs. Rohida Khan, who is the Victims Assistance Program Specialist with the Department of Homeland Security. In her position, she coordinates and provides all emergency services to victims of human trafficking and child sexual exploitation, including emergency medical services, shelter, culturally appropriate food and counseling, immigration papers, and referrals to NGOs for long-term needs. To accomplish these tasks, Rohida has led the Victim Assistance Program from a one-person position she started out in Los Angeles, to a coalition of over 40 members in Los Angeles and San Diego. And this has been her own effort. To accomplish these tasks, she has has recruited people for this task force, immigration attorneys, therapists, doctors, and shelter program activities. She's conducted over 336 anti-human trafficking trainings for national and international non-governmental organizations like the Salvation Army, schools and universities, PTAs, hospitals, hotels, shelters, and interfaith organizations. If helping victims isn't enough for her, she's also a volunteer. Using her own time and funds, she recently returned from Africa, where she educated women in the rural areas of Senegal, on the dangers of FSM. And if you want to know what that is, we can talk about it later. So originally from Pakistan, Rohida has 5 degrees in international relations, psychology, political science, and law, and speaks 5 languages. She's married with 3 adult children. Okay, so please join me in welcoming Mrs. Rohida Khan.
Thank you so much for your kind words. And yes, I'm so glad to be here today. I worked very closely. She's my partner in crime along with Patrick. So we started Human Trafficking Task Force in Long Beach, and then we started what she was talking about, FGM, that is Female Genital Mutilation Task Force in Long Beach too, which covers now San Diego. So that's what we do for work. The first thing I just want to talk about is that what is Department of Homeland Security? And you see a lot of chaos going on right now here. So Department of Homeland Security is an umbrella organization. Under that we've got FEMA that works disasters, help with disasters. We have got TSA that works at the airports. We have got CBP that works the border. We have got USCIS that grant visas. We have got ERO, that's enforcement people, which are removing people or arresting people. We are none of that. So we are HSI, that means Homeland Security Investigations. So what we do is we investigate all the federal crimes, and then we provide all the services to the victims of human trafficking, child sexual exploitation, and for that matter, any federal crime. My expertise is in human trafficking, child sexual exploitation, and violence against women and children. I'm also one of the commissioners for the County of San Diego on the status of women and girls. So we do a lot of work on that as well. I'm so glad to be here in San Diego. I came here 3 years back, and I'm very happy to be part of San Diego community. So what about us is we have national presence. We have more than 30 offices nationwide because every office will have one of my position. When I started with HSI, we were only 3 of us nationwide. Now we are more than 35. It's very specialized position because we provide all the assistance, including the immigration remedies. And I'm really happy to tell you that even now I'm doing all the immigration work for the victims of human trafficking, and we continue to do so. We do have a very good presence international wide. I'm one of the international trainers for our office as well. And so 80 plus countries, because when we have human trafficking going on anywhere in the world, we want to work together. And the statement, what people used to say, whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas no more. So whatever happens anywhere in the world, and if a person who is a US citizen goes abroad and get involved in the exploitation of a minor, we can bring them back over here and prosecute them. So they will work with that government first over there, so they can go through whatever they want, and then we bring them back over here because he's our citizen. So we will prosecute them here, and then they go for long, long time to our guest houses. Trust me on that. And we give them a lot of respect. We put them in a nice airplane. We have 2 good-looking, strong agents coming over there, picking them up, bringing them on red carpet, and then they are our guests. So yeah, I had and it could be anyone. I had a case where he was ex-Marine, living in Oxnard. He was going to Cambodia all the time, exploiting the young girls over there, age 9 to 11. That was his thing. And he's this tall guy, and the kids were like this over here, and we took the photos of that. So those people, and you know how much he's serving now? 210 years of jail.
Wow, all right.
So he's never coming out. His name is Pepe. You can Google his case. So he's never coming out. Similarly, we have another case where there was a Russian American who was going to Russia, going to the middle school over there, standing over there, taking his friends with him from here, and then taking these girls out, abusing them, raping them, and telling them, if you tell anybody, your head will be chopped off. And so those girls, and you know, the trauma with these cases is so severe that you cannot even imagine. So we brought these girls over here, and we worked with them, and I thought they're very strong girls, and they can go to the court and they can present over there, they're good. And we were expecting, if we even get 50 years of jail, we are good. Guess what? When they go over there, they had a panic attack and they start shivering, and so the judge looked at the thing, and then he realized how much trauma these girls have just looking at the guy after all these years. So he gave him 150 years of jail. That's called Ibrahim Yusuf. That was his name. So the point is, and similar cases. But what today I'm talking about is, which I'm really happy and proud of, one thing. You know, the charity begins at home. And if we cannot save our own kids and communities, I don't think we can save anybody in the world. And so most of my cases are domestic trafficking cases, and child sexual exploitation cases, which is happening here. The guy could be somewhere out, maybe in UK or Ireland. Why? Because the social media and the internet use and all that stuff which is happening, online recruitment has skyrocketed. And that's what the topic of my today's presentation is. So we started something called Know to Protect. And in that, that's a project with HSI, started Department of Homeland Security. We go around and train on these. But since I came to San Diego, I took it on myself that I go to all your high schools and some middle schools, and I train on the iGuardian. And it so happened that last Friday, I was in Chula Vista in Olympian High School, and I taught 2 classes over there to the high school. And when I done training, one of the girls got up and she started crying hysterically. And I'm like, oh, what happened? So we have to take her out, and I talked to her, and she said, I wish you were here a few years back. So please do come to these things because it's so important. It's happening to us. It happened to me what you just talked. And she said it happened to me when I was 7-year-old. So when people say it does not happen to the kids, it happens. And it's happening in our community. We keep it hush hush, but it's important to talk about it and save our community. So that's called iGuardian. So I'm gonna show you a few videos.
Hey, I'm Mac Whittam. For the soccer friends out there, I play in the National Women's Soccer League for the New York, New Jersey Gotham Football Club. As a teen who's always on the go, technology helps me stay connected with friends and family, but sometimes technology can have a negative impact. Kids and teens today face a growing number of online threats, and it's not always obvious what they look like or when it's happening. That's why I've teamed up with the Know to Protect campaign to help promote awareness and education around digital safety for kids and teens. You're about to experience their Project iGuardian training. Listen up, because it's going to change how you approach being on social media apps and gaming platforms. This presentation is a conversation that's going to give you real tools to protect yourself and your friends online. So, when something doesn't go right online, you'll know what to do. You don't have to be a digital expert, but you must be aware of the risks that exist and how to take action. Our goal is clear. Let's look out for each other and keep our online spaces safe.
So I wasn't sure today how many kids we'll have or something, so I kind of was conscious about that, and I included some stuff which can be kids stuff as well. But when we do this training for the adults only, then we add some other stuff.
When I was just starting out, it was harder. You really had to keep things hush hush. But then the internet came along and everything changed. Now we hide in plain sight. And share all kinds of things. So we review, rate, make recommendations, just like anything else out there. Pre-internet, you know how hard it was to pretend to be a 9-year-old girl. Now I just roll up looking for BFF. And the best part, the only people who could stop me pretend I don't exist. If you ask me, there's never been a better time to be a monster.
So see, and they're proud of it. What they do, they're just proud of it. And you'll be surprised. They do. They train. And if you ever get a chance on your own computers, not on your office computers, you can Google pimping in America, and you will be shocked to know what happens right here in San Diego. San Diego is also one of the hubs. So what they do is they create these places called stables. Who lives in stables? Animals. So then they mark them. Not all the tattoos are the mark of human trafficking, but they are. So some of them, so if there are two parents, say Caroline and I'm working together and she has her own stable, I have my own stable. Now what will happen is that if she sees any girl or a boy which is belong to this stable A, which will say I'm the owner, for example, God forbid, so then she will say, oh, here, this is sisterhood or brotherhood, your girl is here or your boy is here. So that's how it works. And when you talk about human trafficking, they can be recruited online, yes. Why? Because this is something what all the personal information the kids put online. The password, location, school address, anything. They just, I mean, even my kids who are adult, like you were saying, and when you're eating lunch, she'll take a photo of the lunch and just put it up on Instagram. I'm like, why? But I guess that's something which goes on. So there's no such thing as why over here. So what we want to ask you is that you ask your children that who are their friends online, who are the followers, and including all of us. People will say, oh, I have 400 followers. Do you know all those 400 people? And most of them will say no. I mean, like, it's humanly not possible, right? That I know 400 people by name, address, and everything else. So then what is important is that keep all the accounts on private, whichever, even our accounts. If you have a social media account, try to keep it on private. Otherwise, you're giving them a lot of information. And by putting the photos, whatever you put online, you can never take it back. Even if you delete it, it's still there. So just see what you're doing over there, because if you put a photo or something, it automatically, unless you put it on private, they'll have a location, and then location can take you to where you are. So this is one of the example of Snapchat. And why it happens also is when the kids are online, they go through a lot of emotional stress and tension. Why? Because there's pranks happening, bad languages, dangerous behavior, talk about hate speech, and introduction of all the risky behaviors, drug use, recruitment, human trafficking, any and everything. And the kids do not realize, say, I'm sending a nude photo to somebody. Now, if it is like, okay, boyfriend, girlfriend, and they're doing a consensual thing, even that is dangerous, because guess what, tomorrow you break up, that picture can go around the world, right? And now people break up like this. So that's dangerous. But if the kids are doing that, then those photos, those videos can become really dangerous. So that's something which we want to tell them. There's something on all your phones. Every smartphone has got that, which is called turn on sensitive content warning. So if you turn that on and somebody is sending you something called like a nude photo or a video, it will just come up and you can stop it. Then it's your choice. You can go ahead and see it, or you don't have to. So that's your choice. And I keep telling the kids, that will come up and you will see that. So it's on iPhone, it's on Android, wherever you go. And then that's how you do it. I know everybody, all the kids know, but go to the setting app, tap privacy security, scroll down, tap sensitive content warning, and turn it on. So that's how you can get that as well. Now, do people put things online and it's okay because it's never going to come and harm you? The answer is no. You are looking for a dream job, or you're looking for a scholarship for college. I tell this to the kids all the time. And you're doing something important, and you think, I deleted it, it's no more there. It can come back and harm you. It can happen to our athletes, it happened to our media people, it happened to any and everybody. So when I come here and I show them this emoji, every kid in the class knows them, starts smiling. So I say, yeah, I know you know it. So then, okay, you don't. Good. So who knows it? Okay, tell the rest of them.
It's your posterior.
Exactly. That's your butt.
Wow.
See, it's the age group, right? It's the age group.
That's right.
Yeah, so we are too old to do it. But the kids know, they start smiling and said, I know you know. So, and they know more than us. I'm like, okay, so now let's teach each other. And then they feel really good and smart about it. And then they look at each other. Yeah, I know. so then I tell them, okay, so location, turn off all the location. We go through this again and again. And all the data which leaves your device is no more in your control. You're not in control of anything after that. And that's how, what happens is, unless we know the issue, we cannot do anything about it. And so we have to know the threats, what are the threats. And I give them this activity, and you guys can check too, but like, you know how much, if you go to your phone and check your average screen time activity, oh my God, in high schools, it goes anywhere from 5 hours to 11, 12 hours in 24 hours. If you spend that much time online, I'm sure you're not doing all the research work and getting to PhD degree, so you're doing something else too, right? Talking to some stranger who become your friend, best friends, and then you have some problem at home, or you have problem with spouse. It happens to all of us too. Or problem to anybody who you run to, or that trustworthy friend also online, because you think it's safe. And that's how you get into a lot of trouble with that. So with the kids, what happens is, their frontal lobe is still not developed unless they're 25 years of age. So they don't know what the decision making is. They don't know the consequences of that. They just emotionally, and their hormones rushing, and they can make they're more interested in sexual things, and they're exploring. That's human nature, they're exploring. So unless and until we warn them that, you know what, yeah, it's okay to explore, but this is what you're doing is, this is the consequence of that, then that can happen. So most of the kids, they play these games. You do too? Are you guys playing these games? You play these games? I think almost all the kids. So so maybe we can open the window, because I think this. yeah, so with the smoke. So these games, when they play the games, they're safe till they are on the game site. But as soon as the bad guy will try to take them off the game site to a private chat room, and that's where the whole thing starts. There are hundreds, and I didn't put all these free apps. I was showing it to Patrick last night. There are like hundreds of them, free apps for the kids. I did not put it because I thought maybe there are kids here, and I didn't want to put all that up. But like starting from WhatsApp to Snapchat to Instagram and I don't know, hundreds and more, right? So all these kids are all on those apps all the time. One time I mentioned, I said, yeah, and Facebook. So one of the kids said, no, that's old. I'm like, yeah, exactly, that's old. That's maybe our age thing, right? So anyway, it's so what happened is, where do the bad guys go? Before there would be a stranger danger kind of a thing. Don't go to the park, don't talk to the stranger in our age, at our time. Now, it's all online. And it's all AI. That is the worst thing. The AI is so dangerous. Now you cannot even imagine about this, that what can happen. Because these AI apps, they produce all kind of inappropriate or harmful content. They can, and for example, so this is the photo of the girl. Say for example this. They can change this into a nude photo or somebody who's doing something sexual over there. And now they take these photos and they distribute it to everybody else if you don't listen to them. The bad guys can do that. Even the high schoolers can do that, right? Patrick was telling me about somebody in Hollywood, the school, and he'll talk more about it. So, and what happens is then they start blackmailing, harming, embarrassing people. So the friends, now all these kids, right? They look like real kids. They're all AI generated things. This AI. So you cannot make a difference between who's real, who's not real. So nothing is private now in this world. So we have to understand that part of it. So it is very important when you're talking to chatbot. Chatbot is very dangerous. It talk back to you just like a real live person, real thing you're asking about. And more than once, there are a lot of suicidal cases happen. And I think just in San Diego or something, last year it was like 22 or some more. Suicide, kids killing themselves because of this, because they even give them step-by-step instruction what to do. Wow. So we have to understand how dangerous that is, the AI thing. Beware of all the AI can be misused, and it is very important that you become friends with your children. Now the point is, will they become our friend? The answer is no. So they don't want to discuss anything with us, but we still have to be open-minded about things, very open-minded. I mean, the things which our generation never thought are happening now. And so we have to be very conscious of that. We have to meet the kids where they are. And not, if you don't meet them, then they'll make all these other good friends. And then good friends, you know what can happen over there. And this is happening so often, like this is from my real case, right? So this guy, 24-year-old, and he created 2 profiles. One profile of a boy, one for a girl. And then he was communicating with all these girls or boys depending on the case. And so he was then arrested. Of course, he's in a jail now for a long time. There was another case which started in Texas, and he was a nurse pediatrician. He had about 350 victims. He was sending all these photos of boy. He was interested in boys, so he was sending his photo of girl of their age to everybody else and asking in return to send them the profile or the photos or nude things or the videos of the boys. The victims were in the state of Texas, California, and Nevada. And as I was covering Nevada those days, so then I had to go to every single house which were in my jurisdiction along with one of the agents. We are knocking the door and talking to the guardians or the parents, and imagine the shock on their face and what's happening over there. So, but the most important thing is, what you want to tell your kids, grandkids, nephew, nieces, whoever they are, it's not your fault. And because these bad guys were there, and they will still, she's saying 5 minutes, okay. So what do they do? How do they do the online recruitment? What they do is they compliment, they start sending gifts, they start discussing adult topic, they ask to keep the secret because they want to separate them from their families, And that brings us to a very important topic of sexting or sextortion. Now, sexting is when you send nude photos, nude video to somebody. Sextortion is a crime that we investigate all day long. We are doing a lot of these cases. It brings a lot of humiliation, embarrassment to the kids in high schools. Has that happened? Yes. Because of sextortion, there are a lot of suicides we are seeing. There are two kinds of sextortion. One is a traditional sextortion. I send a photo and now person is telling me send me more or I'm going to share. The financial sextortion is that you send a photo and then the person is saying now you send me the money or I'm going to give it to everybody. So have we done these cases? Yes. So now it'll be a bullet train because I have 5 minutes. So this is one of the videos I wanted to show it to you.
Okay, so you did a thing. You sent a picture of yourself with no clothes on. Something you thought wouldn't be shared. And in a polite society, cats wear clothes, right? Anyway, seemed like a good idea at the time. But now things have gone wrong. Terribly wrong. Maybe you shared the picture with someone you loved and trusted, but after a while, things weren't so friendly. Or they said they'd help you become a star. They just wanted to use you. Or maybe you met someone online and they really seemed to understand you. But then it got weird. And it turned out to be someone totally different. Now the person you shared the pic with is demanding more and threatening to tell. That's sextortion. Yep, that's the thing. The perpetrator relies on you feeling ashamed and keeping quiet. But they are the ones who should be ashamed. What they are doing is wrong. And it's never too late to find your voice to ask for help. Or too early to reach out to your friends to tell them you'll be there no matter what. In fact, you can stop sextortion before it starts by talking about it now. With support, you can do anything, and you can focus on the important business of being cats. So tell your closest friends today you've got their back no matter what.
So that's what it is. And then this is what is in real life happening. So now that we have adults, I can show this.
I can't stop thinking about you. I know you've been waiting for this for a while. I wanted to give you something special.
Who are you? Why are you doing this?
So that can happen, and that is happening all day long. Now this is another video which I want to show. So what do you think? How many doors we have in any house?
How many adults?
10. How many abusers? Oh, doors? Did you
Doors.
say?
I said doors.
Doors.
That's what I thought
Yeah.
you said.
Yeah, doors.
But what do I know?
Yeah. So in this house, I can see one door, right? But guess what can happen? When you have a smartphone, this is video about that, but maybe we should not just see what I wanted to show. It shows all the bad guys who are walking around. If you give a smartphone to your kid, then you have hundreds of doors in your house, because those people will not come from this door, but from that door, and they're going to abuse all your kids, whoever they are. So, and then they train, like I said, they have sextortion. They step by step, they tell you what to do, how to do it, and how to make money. So that's what this is from actual case. So they have hundreds and thousands of photos and videos together. So what do we, and this other thing started online, which is called sadistic online exploitation. It is not something that Patrick and I just made it up. This is something which is happening. So they not just recruit those kids, they give them instruction by step by step how to kill themselves, how to cut their organs, how to cut themselves, how to do this, how to kill the animal, and then they make those videos of it. So that's something which we have to be very careful. Anybody who these people need to be exposed. So if it happens, there's a remedy. We're talking about the resources. There's something called Take It Down. NECMEC is a national organization for missing and exploited kids, and they have started this program called take it down. You go to their website, there's a form. You can anonymously fill up that form, give it to them, and they try to remove all your online videos and photos from there. So the exit, you want to take a photo of that? Yes, you can. All right. So that's called Take It Down campaign. That's very important. Now the exit strategy, and tell your kids this is really important. Tell someone close to you, not your friend, not your other friend, because you take it to other friend, they're same age. Tell someone who's adult, trusted adult, and then stop all the contact with the friend. Do not delete any photo, any video, anything, because we need those for evidence. And then let them know they're alone. If it happens to your kid or grandkid, God forbid, please know our job is to remain very calm. If you're calm, then they will be calm, and you'll come to know. So it can happen to anyone. It's not just one. So the summary of this is to put all the apps on private, turn off. I usually make people read, but we don't have time. Turn off all the location. Don't believe what people are telling you that they are who they are, because they are not. And they pretend to be your age people, but they're not your age. And so that's very important. Do not respond to the stranger, and if it happens to you, talk to somebody adult, and then that's how you can, because law enforcement, which is us, and then all your parents, even if they get panic and have anxiety and get upset, they still are your parents, and they will be able to help you. Or you can talk to your teacher, whoever. So this is what we started as the human trafficking thing in our office too, and this is the last slide. So we work on 4 P's, and number 1 is prevention, meaning thereby we do all the outreach education which we are doing right now today to prevent that from happening. Once it happened, we get into protection mode, meaning thereby the victim is in our hand to reconnect them with all the available resources in the community, including immigration remedy. And immigration remedy, the first thing we do is victim have to do nothing. We just do all the paperwork, send it to our headquarters, send it to USCIS, and get them something called continued presence, which is good for 2 years. Within that time, they can apply for something called trafficking non-immigrant visa, which is called T visa. This is for human trafficking victims only. That's good for 4 years. Within 3 years, they can apply for something called adjustment of status or green card, and we have to write another letter to USCIS about their moral character, and from there they can go for the citizenship. And so that's what we do. And then we also, because if you just keep helping the victim and don't do anything else, it's a vicious circle.
That's right.
You help 5, they become 10. You help 10, they become 50. So what we do is we attack them from all sides, and this is prosecution. So we work very closely with U.S. Attorney's Office and DA's office, so these people can get really good sentences, meaning thereby justice is served. So like remember 210 years, 150 years, 80 years, 70 years, 50 years. So now we have laws, and those laws are used. So it's very important. But why we are here today is because we cannot do it by ourselves. Nobody can do it. No one can claim to do it. FBI, us, by the way, we are cooler than FBI. But none of us can do it by ourselves. But we can do it together, and that the 4th P is the partnership P, which we are very grateful for Caroline and everybody else. These are some other resources I put on for you guys. We have got a human trafficking task force in San Diego. We are part of it. We have got ICAG, which is the Internet Crime Against Children Task Force in San Diego, which is helping with a lot of cases and everything. So we have all this, and this is our tip line. And then, of course, these are the suicide tip line, Take It Down. All these are the resources which people can use for whatever. And that's it. Wow, done. I can do it for a whole day, and then I can do that.
Yeah, I know she could go all day. There is so much information, so thank you so much, Rohida.
Yes, okay,
it's really fantastic.
I'm going to
And
remove my...
I hope that
you can keep introducing people. I'm just going to remove
Oh,
my
okay,
stuff.
all right. Okay, so our next on the line, because we do want to try to keep to a schedule to a degree, so is Mr. Patrick Erlandson. Some of you already know him, but he is from Los Angeles. He is the founder and director of FatherCon and founder of See It, End It Film and Arts Festival. I love that name, See It, End It. So Patrick first learned of human trafficking by learning about trafficking or harvesting of internal organs from a field agent in Egypt while he was working with the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, which drove him to learn as much as possible about human trafficking, both globally and domestically. In 2012, he began leading the prevention subcommittee of the Long Beach Human Trafficking Task Force. He assumed leadership of the men standing against trafficking in Long Beach and led a demonstration against human trafficking every month for 5 years, up until the time of COVID. For 10 years, he has presented on the dangers of pornography, which fuels the demand for exploited children and disrupts healthy family life. From these experiences that focused on the importance of men and fathers and a healthy upbringing, he founded FatherCon, a nonprofit organization promoting healthy families as the best prevention of human trafficking. Through film screenings, panel discussions, lectures, and the arts, he delivers the means to inform, inspire, and educate men on the essential role fathers play in establishing healthy children, families, and society. In 2019 and 2020, through FatherCon, Patrick organized an online 6-day event showing 25 films with 50 speakers from around the world, including many survivors of sex and labor trafficking, as well as highlighting organizations which are doing powerful work in exposing human exploitation and its root causes. His work has given him an international platform as a speaker at the United Nations in Vienna, Austria, and has presented on human trafficking conferences in Paraguay, Israel, Zambia, and several countries in Southeast Asia. He has worked with Women's Federation for World Peace, by the way. So he lived in Japan for 8 years teaching English and has served in numerous NGOs globally as a volunteer. He and his wife, Machiko, and 2 adult children live in Los Angeles, where Patrick was born and raised as the second of 7 children. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Patrick Erlandson.
So it's just too weird to hear yourself introduced. But is it, Rohida is, like she talks about HSI being cooler than the FBI, but Rohida is cooler than all the
That's right, yes.
So every time I hear her speak, I get so many ideas and so many things that I want to say. I'm going to try to keep this to
30 minutes.
30 minutes. It's like torture. I'm going to skip through some of this. I couldn't get my PowerPoint presentations to open last night, so I had to kind of like butcher things and kind of move things around, and it's like, you know, it's a cannibal presentation. This is my mom and dad. And I put this up because there was one survivor of human trafficking. She was horribly abused by her trafficker. And I was talking to her, and I asked her, what would have prevented you from believing this guy? What would have made it so that you wouldn't have believed this guy and gotten sucked into this life? And she just, without any hesitation, she said, I wanted to see my dad love my mom. And it kind of stopped me, and it was just kind of like, you know, your mom and dad love each other. I'm the fruit of that love. The world makes sense. And it's like, not having that, the world becomes a very like precarious place. And for a lot of children, they're growing up very, very unsure of themselves and their place in the world. And that makes them really easy fodder for traffickers and for anyone who wants to exploit vulnerable people. It's just me. I wanted to be the 5th Beatle. I also love Roy Rogers. This is my family. I'm the gorilla, of course. But I love this picture. This is my grandson when he was 10 months old, and my mother before she passed away last year when she was 101. Wow. And it's just so moving to see the generations, right? Like this is what we should be celebrating. This should be such a core of our life, is seeing our children and grandchildren. And then I was just in Japan for New Year's, and he's now just about 2 years old. And he comes running out to greet us. My wife and I, we went to Tokyo, and he comes running out with this "I'm going to be a big brother" shirt. So we are now expecting our 2nd grandchild.
Amen.
So human trafficking in the 21st century. My introduction, as Carolyn had talked about, was when I was working with UNHCR, and we got this field report of just the number of refugees that were crossing Egypt trying to get to Israel. because the Israel would take in refugees, kind of at that time around 2010, and just this horrible, these Bedouins would patrol the border and they would invite them in, and then like, it's okay, we'll take care of you, we'll feed you, eat, drink, and be merry, and then tomorrow we'll take you up to the border with Israel. And so a lot of these were children who had seen their parents killed, like in the Darfur region of Sudan. And so here you are feeling like, okay, I can trust these people. And then they would send for a doctor from Cairo who would come down, they would be drugged, and then they would take out their organs. And the horrible thing was they have to take out the organs while they're still alive. And then they would bury them in the desert. And I was so horrified. It was kind of like somebody drove a Mack truck into my heart. And it was like, I can't not do something about this. If there's anything I can do, let me do it. So that's what kind of started me on this course. So I worked at the Long Beach Human Trafficking Task Force with Rohida, but also Men Standing Against Trafficking. So we would go out in front of a hotel where a trafficker had killed one of his girls. She pissed him off, didn't make enough money, or we don't exactly know why, but she was killed in one of the hotels there. So we would protest out there. The main thing was most men didn't feel like human trafficking was their issue. It was a woman's issue. It was affecting women, not my problem, even though men are the demand that are keeping the whole thing alive. And so this was a way for us to get men to start to take a stand saying, look, I don't agree with this. Women shouldn't be treated this way. We would have girls come out of the hotel. They'd be looking at us. And we wanted to send a message that not every man is a customer, because in their minds, any girl who's being prostituted or put out on the streets, to her, every single dude is a customer. Right? Whether it doesn't matter, they're law enforcement, a judge, a priest, doesn't matter. Every single man can be a customer, and that's how they come to see us. And so we wanted to really change that and make a statement that there are men who really care about what's happening in your life. So we would stand out there. I just tell you one story from when we were on the street, and it was, well, there's two. There's one, like, we were holding the sign, right? And this lift car comes whipping into the parking lot, screeches to a halt. This very large black woman gets out and comes right up to me in my face. She's like 6 inches from my face, and she goes, "Thank you." And I took a step back and said, "You're welcome." And then she proceeded to tell me that 5 years before, she was being sold on that street corner. Wow. And the last customer she had pulled out a knife and just stabbed her and dumped her in the gutter to die. And she lived. But I was so moved by her. And she was just so grateful that somebody was doing something, and especially that we were there in the place where she had that experience. I added these last night, so forgive me, I'm not well versed in all this. But so some of this about human trafficking, it doesn't appear the way you think. So a lot of people see a movie or a TV show and they start thinking, oh, it's like this white van pulls up and you're grabbing kids off the street, and that's what human trafficking looks like. And it's not. I was meeting recently with an LAPD officer, and he was telling me that they get these reports of a teenage girl, a 14, 15-year-old, who runs away from home. She's not home anymore. And then, so they'll track her down. They'll find that she's in this house in Wilmington, and they'll go to the house, and there'll be like 5 or 6 teenage girls in there. And they're going, oh, no, we're just here hanging out with our friends. They know that the house is owned by gang members, but the girls won't say anything. So we're just here having a good time with our friends. So they'll keep them for 2 weeks. They're selling them to multiple men over the course of those 2 weeks, and then they might give them an iPad and send them back home. And it's like these guys are profiting so much from these girls, but it looks so many different ways. I mean, there are cases of 12-year-old girls climbing out of their bedroom window because on their phone they got a message, I got a customer down the street, you better get out here or I'm gonna do whatever to your little brother. But the way that so many of these girls are being trafficked now doesn't always look the way we sometimes see it in the movies. This is just some of the information about California. Some things, I think, there's a lot of grooming and there's a lot of some laws that really help prevent human trafficking, and some that end up inadvertently, and now allowing it. And this is one thing I had trouble with this when they passed the bill that minors couldn't be arrested for human trafficking. And I know there was a lot of discussion about it, but I was really worried because, so what they wanted to do with this law was to make it so if you were trafficked, you wouldn't have this record of being a prostitute hanging over your head, when you tried to get a job later. you know, if you got out of that existence. So it had this really good intention, but the side effect was now put a target on every minor's back, because the trafficker knows my girl's not going to get arrested. She's not going to get taken out of business like she would have in the past. So we got to be really careful about the laws that we pass. This one, AB 379, I mean, they tried for years to pass this law. They would actually make paying for sex with a minor child a felony instead of a misdemeanor. I mean, it was insane. Some of our laws it was more serious to abuse a dog than it was to pay for sex with a 10-year-old. I mean, some of the things were just so upside down in our laws. But then when they tried to pass this, there was this pushback, especially by Senator Rohida, when he was just saying, you know, this is, you know, 16 and 17-year-olds shouldn't be included as minors in, you know, if we're going to felonize someone who's paying for sex with a child, 16 and 17-year-olds, they should be okay. And so there's this whole debate, you know, in Sacramento, and then I think finally the governor stepped in and said, okay, yeah, 16 and 17-year-olds, include them in the bill. And as far as I know, do you know, Rohida, did it finally pass?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah, because it was
the mayor
a long
this
time.
time,
It was
yeah.
over 3 years they were trying to get this passed. The internet pornography, again, as Rohida said, I mean, pornography fuels the sex trafficking and human trafficking like nothing else. I mean, it is just a massive supporter of the industry. I've got a book back there by a girl she was trafficked by her father, who happened to be a pastor, from the age when she was like 3 or 4, I think. She was being sold to men, and then she got too old at like the age of 11 or 12. So then he put her in the porn business, and until she was 17 or 18, she was in that whole world. But unbelievable, and the connection between the porn industry and human trafficking is really tight. They feed on each other. A lot of the survivors that I've talked with, they were all used in pornography as well, or had films made of them while they were being abused. And it's out there. And God, you think about those things. Like, I know that these films are out there and men are looking at it. And everywhere I go, I'm walking down the street and some man looks at me and I think, oh my God, he's seen me, you know, in this situation. And so a lot of these girls that are survivors, they're carrying that with them all day, every day. You know, what I've done, the worst things that have happened to me, people have watched it and seen it. This is the thing for me. I feel like God gave us curiosity. It's one of the greatest gifts that God put into us, because he gave us this amazing universe to explore and be excited about and interested in. You know, our curiosity is what drives us. It gets us out of bed in the morning. We want to go see what's going to come, what's going to happen next. You know, it's just an incredibly beautiful gift that he's given to us. And then you have an industry like the porn industry that completely hijacks that and turns it into something ugly and distorted, and can derail a child. If you're an 8-year-old and you're being exposed to violent porn or really abusive pornography, and you're going, well, this is coming from the adult world. I'm trying to figure out who I am as a kid, and I'm trying to figure out what relationships are between other human beings, and now I'm watching stuff where a man is choking a woman, and I mean, it's like, what does that do to a child? And I think now we have Heidi Olson is a forensic nurse. I was showing Rohida a video last night, and she got into it because she really wanted to, you know, stand up for women who are being abused by these awful men who are raping women. And so she became this forensic nurse, and now she found that the majority, around 50% of the perpetrators that they're seeing, the perpetrators of sexual violence against girls and women, are boys between 11 and 15. Those are the perpetrators, not the victims. They're the perpetrators, and the only common denominator is they're watching porn. So they're just acting out what they're seeing in porn. And so this is creating this massive, you're creating a demand. You're breeding a demand for exploiting other human beings' bodies. This is an ad I use. So this is a advertisement for what?
Alcohol.
A watch.
What? Yes.
This is an ad for a watch. And there's worse ones too. I didn't include, I took out the other ones. But these are commercials. These are advertisements. Yep. And you're breeding this whole like exploitive view of other people, and that I should get my pleasure in any way that I see fit. So people who are being targeted, now, I mean, as the internet has progressed, you know, it used to be, and it's still common, but foster children in the foster care system, we have 400,000 children in the foster care system in America. That is an awful lot of children who don't know if they're loved, if they came into the world intentionally. They are so uprooted from having family and lineage and identity rooted in your parents that they are easy pickings for traffickers. There was one place, a safe house, or a home, a group home for foster kids in LA. This guy shows up dressed as a priest, and he was a trafficker. He was coming in. He's going, yeah, one of my parishioners is here, and I need to take her out for a walk, you know, by coming to get her out. And in another case, it was a group home where they had the pictures of all the foster children that were in the group home, and they ended up catching this girl in the office taking pictures of the other girls, and she was getting orders from her traffickers, and I want you to recruit this one, and I want you to recruit this one, out of the group homes. These things, runaways are really easy pickings also for traffickers. Children with disabilities is now increasingly, you know, children with a disability are being targeted because they're malleable, they can't really resist. There was one girl she was trafficked in LA. I believe she was 12, but she was autistic, and this gang was selling her, and she got rescued, and then she went back out again. The gang came and got her because she was making money for them. But children who are lonely, afraid, angry, or hurt, these are all things that are easily preyed upon. And if you're a 13-year-old and you just got scolded by your mother, and then here's this dude who's like totally sympathetic, he's just on your side. This is the guy you're going to turn to, you know, when you're angry, when you're lonely, when you're hurt, right? And these guys know it. And I think a lot of parents, every time you speak, you know, there are parents who go, my child would never do that. I trust my 14-year-old. They would never look at that stuff. They would never do that. They would never make friends with a stranger, right? So it's okay to trust your kids, but trust these guys. They know exactly what they're doing, and they know exactly how to talk to kids. They know very, very well how to manipulate a child's emotions and feelings and make her feel that you're their protector and savior. This quote always really got me. This is a man who he had molested over 400 children. He spent 12 years in prison. When he got out of prison, he was interviewed, and they asked him, well, what kind of kids do you target? You know, and he goes, it wasn't so much the kids that I targeted, but if they had a father in their life, then I would see that as a threat, and then I would leave the child alone. And so this is one of the things that really has moved me in my work with fathers, and why I established FatherCon as kind of a solution to this. Fathers play a really unique role, and I think most people do not understand what a father contributes that's different from a mother. And since the 60s and the sexual revolution, we've been told that, you know, a woman can be the mother and the father. You know, the father really, you know, if he's not doing what the mother thinks, she's the sole authority in how children should be raised, and if he's not doing what she thinks is right, then, well, get rid of him because you can do it all yourself anyway. And today we have high school girls that aspire to being single mothers.
Wow. Yes.
I mean, you let that sink in. You know, a teenage girl thinks, yeah, I want to be a single mother someday. I don't want the dude, I don't want a husband, but I really want to be a mom, right? I mean, it's pretty horrid. But I really like Dr. Meg Meeker. She's a pediatrician. She's written a number of books on parenting and on fathers. But she said, nothing you say or do is neutral. And you really let that sink in. What does that mean? So nothing I say or do is going to be seen as neutral by my children or by the children that I have influence over. But it also means nothing that I don't say and don't do is also neutral. So they're reading meaning into how they're being treated and what's happening to them. If the father's always on the phone, well, then the phone is much more valuable than me. Right? He wants to spend time on his phone. He wants to spend time doing something else instead of being with me, so that means I'm less valuable than that. So a child will logically make this assumption. Their, again, prefrontal cortex, like Rohida said, is not fully developed. So they're making assumptions based on very limited understanding of the reality. They don't know that their dad's been working all day long. All they know is that when he came in, he pushed them aside and he went and got a beer. Right? And so then they're going to assign meaning to that. So if we don't really live with that awareness, we can make a lot of mistakes just inadvertently. We're communicating something to our children, And it's sometimes really not good. And they're gonna make life decisions based on what they assume to be true, right? As a 5-year-old. This vulnerability. So if there's not a father present in the lives of children, the children grow up with a vulnerability. They don't know what it's like to be loved by a man. I've talked to so many girls who were trafficked, and they said, you know, I had no idea what it felt like to be loved by a person who really cared about me. Someone who wasn't trying to get something from me. So they just assume, you know, well, this guy tells me I'm pretty, well, he must love me. And so it makes them extremely vulnerable. So we as men have this really, you know, we have a superpower in how we can affect our children. And the other thing, besides the vulnerability in girls and boys, but more, you know, more in the girls, it plays out more in girls. But in boys, it's entitlement. If they don't grow up with a father who's setting some kind of standard and controlling their behavior and teaching them that they need to really dominate themselves, you have boys that are really angry. They're pissed off. And so they go out and they feel like, I'm entitled. I should be having this incredible life. I should have had a dad. I don't have a dad. I'm gonna, you know, and I feel this incredible urge, you know, so I'm gonna go out and just pay for that 12-year-old that's out on the highway. But it's like you create this sense of entitlement in these boys who then exercise that by becoming customers or traffickers. These are 3 things that I think really, really important when it comes to fathers and men. And this is, FatherCon is not a men's organization. Women need to understand this too. They need to understand how to support their husbands, how to support like the men that are in their life, their brothers. If we don't understand these things, we make a lot of mistakes. Empathy is more learned by children from the father than from the mother. I thought that's so counterintuitive. You would just assume that they're learning empathy from the mother. She's being empathetic all day long. She's like nursing them. She's changing their diapers. She's totally living sacrificially for their kids. But they learn it. They learn to become empathetic from the dad. And it's mostly in how dads play with their children. Right? The mom's like wrapping the kids in bubble wrap and, you know, like watching over them. And that's their natural thing. You know, a dad puts a kid up in the tree and goes, okay, now jump. Yeah, or the dad, like this happened to me so many times. When you play with kids, they get really hyper. They get so excited to be playing with dad, you know, and then they'll start doing things like taking off my $300 glasses, you know, and they're gonna throw them around. And it's like, okay, that's it. You know, you do that, we have to stop. You keep poking me in the bottom, you know, it's like we got to stop playing. You know, it's, you know, and so then that they start to learn. Even a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old starts to learn. Oh, I got to be aware of how another person feels. So they start learning empathy in the interaction with the dad. It's very interesting, really fascinating. Worthy to be loved is the other thing that I think is one of the most important things. The father communicates to that child, you are worthy to be loved. They know they're loved by their mom. They experience being loved. But that you're worthy to be loved is another thing. And if you don't grow up feeling that you're worthy to be loved, you are very vulnerable to whatever some dude tells you. You know, you could be a model. It's like, but this is really, really important. And it has, like, over and over again, girls go, yeah. You know, it was my dad is who gave me this sense that I deserve better. You know, like I should be treated a certain way. But that really comes from the dad. And then the other is integrity. We have so discarded integrity as a culture now. We no longer emphasize this idea that a man's word is his bond. You know, who hears that stuff anymore? We kind of grew up with it. You know, you had some integrity. You could be trusted because you did what you said you were going to do. We have a culture now that says, if you can get away with it, go for it. You know, I look at the movie Ocean's 11. You know, anybody who saw the original Ocean's 11 with the Rat Pack?
I don't remember.
The original movie, these dudes plotted and planned and connived to steal millions of dollars from this casino in Las Vegas. So this whole plan, they got their team together, they worked on it for years, they come in, they steal the money, and then the police lock down the city and they can't get the money out of Las Vegas. So one of their team members dies. He has a heart attack, he's an old dude. And so, great idea, we put all the money in the casket, we ship it back home, and that's how we get our money out of the city. Voila! Only the wife shows up and she says, cremate him. They burned the body and the millions of dollars. And then the last scene is you see the Rat Pack guys all walking down the street. You know, they got nothing.
Winning.
I tell you, they're great. Yeah. But the new movie with Brad Pitt and Clooney and everything, they get away with the money. And so there's been this whole shift away from integrity, and now it's like, if you can get away with it, go for it. But this is something really important. Children need to be able to trust their parents. And we've downgraded my being trustworthy, you know, just trust me, just because I'm the adult, you know, and I'm totally inconsistent and I don't do what I say I'm going to do, but trust me anyway. And this is really harmful to children. They need to be able to trust their parents. You know, like Rohida said, we need to be the people that they come and talk to. Like, you know, Johnny showed me this picture today at school. They should come to us. They should be coming to us, and we should be helping them through those kind of experiences. But if we don't make ourselves trustworthy, we're not the ones who are coming to. So in FatherCon too, we really believe in this idea that there is a design, and the optimum design for children to grow up in is to have a biological mother and a biological father. Obviously, we live in a world where that's not always possible. But this is the optimum condition. We should be thinking, like, what did God design for us? What is the best situation for children? And how can I get as close to that as possible? And how can I encourage our society and our country, you know, to do things that are supporting what's best for children? Not some crazy alternative that's never been tried before. But if we really look at, this is what science is showing us. All the research now on parenting, it's kind of coming down to this. There was a woman, and interesting, she's an economist, and she said, well, what's the best situation for kids? So she looked at it purely as an economist, and she wrote a book called The Two-Parent Privilege. And her conclusion was, the biological mother, biological father, they're the most invested in what's best for the kid. Kids are just so much better off when they're growing up with their biological mother and biological father. And you can have really good adoptive families. They're also very good because they really want the child. Step parents, really dangerous. A lot of step parent situations are some of the most dangerous situations for children to grow up in. And unmarried couples. There's no security. There's no, you know, a child can't feel like, yeah, I'm going to have this couple for the rest of my life. In my opinion, it's not good. Entitlement, I always go back to this, the Garden of Eden story, I think is so, I mean, whatever you believe, the Garden of Eden story with Adam and Eve is really deep. It's a psychological story, it's spiritual, it's like on so many levels, it's teaching us something really deep. And I think this idea, you're free to eat from any tree in the garden, this is God. God gave you everything. He made everything. And he's telling you, I'm giving all of this to you, but this one thing, just don't do this one thing. So what was that doing? That was telling human beings, I'm trusting you with responsibility. You are able to respond to me. You can trust me or not trust me, right? But I'm handing this to you. I'm handing this responsibility to you. And now the ball's in your court. Please do well, right? But the temptation is, what? You didn't ask to be born. You know, if it looks good, if that looks good, God's trying to deprive you of the one thing that's really going to do it for you. Right? That's the thing that's going to make you super duper happy. That's what's going to make you like God. So go just take it. Just go take it. And if you feel like I deserve something, if I feel like I should have this amazing sex life, and my wife's just not doing it for me. You know, so once you start feeling like this is what I deserve, this is what I'm entitled to, I'm not getting it, therefore I'm a victim, and I'm so focused on what I don't have that I can't be grateful for the entire garden I've been given, right? I'm not grateful for that. All I'm thinking is, man, that one thing, that's what's really going to make me happy, right? So then that's a justification. I feel totally justified in going down the street, paying for a 12-year-old, you know, because that's what's really going to do it for me. And it never does, but you keep trying to make yourself believe that getting what I want when I want it is what's really going to make me happy. And this is, half of the slide is not showing. What I think now is what we're moving into is a time of dehumanization. We're dehumanizing ourselves, and AI plays a huge role in that. This is Nasty Nancy. Anyone can go and have a conversation with Nasty Nancy, and she's going to tell you the most wonderful things. You are going to feel like the most loved dude, and she's just one of millions of character bots that are out there. This is a little plush toy that they started selling at Christmas. It has AI installed, so you can now start to get your 1-year-old totally inspired by having a little stuffed animal friend that answers all their questions and is their best friend. And you don't need your parents, you don't need, you don't need friends. You just have to run home from daycare and interact with your stuffed animal. I thought this was really powerful. This is a testimony where the founder of Character AI, he said, Character AI is not there to replace Google, it's there to replace your mother.
Yeah.
Terrifying, like what we're doing. This also just really gets me. This Shulamith Firestone. Do you know her, Walter? Do you know about her? Shulamith Firestone. She was a feminist, really kind of prominent. She wrote this book about sex, the dialectic of sex. She was like very Marxist in her viewpoint, but she said like the tyranny of biology. The fact that a woman has a womb and can give birth to a child, that is the source of her oppression. And that's something that we should be fighting against, the tyranny of biology. And now you have, and so it was this whole thing of like tearing down the family. And that was also Engels, Marx and Engels, their whole thing was like, how do we get rid of marriage and family, the family structure? Because that keeps us from having a true socialist state. And then, so now you have college students, we have girls that are protesting saying, that the baby inside of your womb is a parasite. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's just amazing how far we have fallen. Just a little bit FatherCon. So our mission is to bring a revival of the fundamental role of fatherhood in today's family union. We really, all of our activities and things are to inform. We want to bring this information about what makes fathers so special, and how can we really strengthen our families so that our children are not vulnerable to whatever some dude tells them. Online or in person, also to inspire. We should really feel like being a dad, having children, what an incredible blessing that is. And this is actually going to be the source of our greatest happiness and sense of success as men, is actually in our parenting, in how we raise our children, and developing the heart of the father. So we give a Heart of the Father award with each of our conferences, because we should have that. We're born for it. We should be, raising our children to have this heart of a father. It should be something that boys aspire to. They want to become a dad. They want to become a really good dad. Oh no, turn it off. And then to equip. So we want people to walk out of our conferences and things like that with resources, things that can actually help them. Let's see. So we had like Father Poyo. We've done like 5 conferences. Our 6th conference is coming up in April. It's going to be in Compton. We're going straight into Compton with a really powerful message for families. Let's see. These are Heart of the Father awards. This is at the United Nations. We do now father programs. We have a number of different places where we have this ongoing fatherhood programs. We just got back from Uganda, and we now have FatherCon in Uganda. Uganda is very interesting. It's, I was in Japan for New Year's, and I was in Uganda in November. Japan, the median age of the population in Japan is 50. The median age in Uganda is 16.
Wow.
There are so many kids, and yet you have dads that are not taking care of business, and they don't have free schools. They have everything has to be paid for. So you have a father who's not, there. It's rough. Anyway, I got so many things going on. But this is our upcoming conference. We really, really, really want to educate both men and women about the importance of the father, because I meet so many dads who are just heartbroken. They want to be a good dad. For some reason, the marriage didn't work. But a lot of times the mother then is punishing the dude that she's angry at by not letting him see their kids. And so you're causing a double problem, and it can be a multi-generational problem of depriving your children of their dad. It's quite sad. So we have a lot of workshops, resources. We'll have free lunch. I know it's a bit of a hoof. You got to drive up to LA, but it's really worth it. And that's me. Sometimes it feels hopeless, doesn't it? It just feels like the monster's too big. But we can get out. We rely on people's support. Help us if you can. We make a world of difference in how we're changing the hearts of men. I think that's it.
Okay.
I think that we all understand from a personal point of view all the way up to a very kind of academic, educational point of view, what is human trafficking? And even though we feel we're the Family Federation for World Peace, but still, with AI, it really is so dangerous. It really, I totally understand and agree with that. And we just have to be vigilant. We have to honor our fathers, bring the fathers, a family unit. We all know that that's what what we learned. That is what will bring the peace on this earth. That's really what it's all about. Is a family unit will bring peace on this earth. But we just have to be diligent. You know, we're kind of going into the next phase of what is evil, and how can we recognize it, and how can we stop it. So I think that love, and I think this is really the thing with her father, the family stayed by her. They never abandoned her. And this is what's so important, never to judge, never to write somebody off, never to assume what a person looks like, who they really are. Because she said she couldn't get help because people looked at her and saw her surface, what she looks on the outside. They did not know what she was on the inside. So I'm so amazed at her courage. It's incredible. So okay, so this is our conclusion of the presentations. We wanted to invite Pastor Walter Frank, who is the pastor of this church. This is a church, and to kind of conclude what we have with his wife Suyapa, who is here also. So I hand it over to Pastor Frank.
Thank you very much, our speakers. Jessica, thank you. God bless you. One of the things we'll say 100 times is Jesus always forgave the adulteress. So when those guys tell you if you come to church you won't be forgiven, it's not true. Not our church, not Jesus' church. Absolutely, the woman who had 5 husbands, Jesus, why don't you join my church? I'll give you living water. So absolutely, we believe 100% that Christ's life isn't a life of condemnation, it's a life of salvation. So this is a picture of my wife and I. This is Siapa, she's right there, that's me. I was younger and handsomer. But this is our house, and I would say, I'll speak for a few minutes. It's hard to speak after such great speakers. On the other hand, we have real meaning. We're a church is called Family Federation. Just like Patrick Erlandson said, FatherCon, we believe families is what fights evil. If you want to fight evil in this world, the most important element of God's kingdom is husbands and wives, fathers and mothers, grandparents, brothers and sisters, uncles and aunties. That's the most valuable thing. And I would happen to say for just in my life, I was always dodging bullets. But I'm still here through the grace, love, and kindness of Jesus Christ. He did enter my life, and I can tell you, I've been beaten unconscious, robbed at gunpoint, shot at a number of times. I've been, every bad thing almost you can do to me happened to me. Broken all kinds of bones. Anyway, this is us, and this is our son Israel, who is now our oldest son, who's now in the U.S. Navy, cryptolinguist. This is us again here at church. This is my other son, who was a Marine for 6 years. Now he's a nurse, and these are his children, and these are our grandchildren. And I'll tell you, I didn't understand what life is. I was a lost child. I was really lost. And step-parents aren't evil. Just ask Cinderella. Just ask. I was a victim of a evil stepmother. Anyhow, here's our other son Walter and his baby Walter the fourth, and then we have all our other children, Eliana, my daughter Hannah, who were just at her youngest child's dedication to Christ this morning, and this is Cora Noel. And these are all cute children, right? Aren't they beautiful? Aren't children beautiful? That's what we should get. That's what we should understand. God made children to be beautiful, to be loved and cared for, to be protected and guided, because this is the treasure of God, right? The fallen world thinks money's treasure, or this is treasure, or house is treasure, but to God, this is treasure, right? And this is what I learned growing up in this church in Family Federation of World Peace. This is me. I'm now, who would believe? I'm the pastor. Even I'm not sure I would join a church where they let me be the pastor. Nevertheless, I'm here. So family church, we believe family is the cure. Just like people said, family is the cure of all evil. May God bless you and protect you with the family, and may you be protectors. So here's the photo of the love of my life, right? It's not a car. In the morning, this is my grandson Leo, and he would like to go outside, and I would carry him around. We would look at birds and see trees and catch bugs. And then this is our little Ava granddaughter. So grandchildren have been the sweetest love of my life, and I thought I was always a man. No, I'm a grandfather. That's who I really should be. And to all people, all young people, you won't know true love until you become a grandparent. Mr. Gabriel, would you agree with me?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. So this is the sweetest love, because this is who God was supposed to be in our family. If there's no fall of man and Adam and Eve didn't eat the tree, and Cain and Abel had wives and they had children, then God would be the grandfather of those children. And they would go into the direct protection of God's true love. Wouldn't that be amazing? That's what Family Federation is trying to rebuild. Not just the nuclear family, the family centered on God as our parent, our father, our mother, our true parents, and we're children of God. That makes all of us brothers and sisters of one true parent. Does that make sense? That's the whole meaning of everything we do in Family Federation. So of course, all around the world, grandparents love children and spoil them. They even make these teachers. Grandpa is my name, spoiling is my game. In fact, my dad, we grew up with my dad, and he had a special love for children. For example, one day, he said, we were living with my dad at this time, and he asked the kids, let's go outside and we're going to water the grass. And I thought, well, wait a minute. It rained last night. And what we discovered was he would take them outside to sneak them candy. and then we found he had a whole drawer full of candy in his room. That's not my dad. That's the original idea of who God is in your life. Someone who spoils you, gives you candy. God puts fruits on trees so you can go outside and eat sweet fruits just from a tree. Isn't that amazing? What a miracle that is. Apples, oranges, grapes, all the sweetest fruits in the world, God just puts them in the garden for you to find. And that's what we do with my grandkids. That's God, right? So our children remember my father, their grandfather, with great affection. And many members here say, who's the person who loved them the most? Not their mother and father, their grandfather or grandmother, right? Isn't that special? So this is my granddaughter Ava, right? I think she's beautiful. Don't you think she's beautiful? Yes. So I always ask this question: who made her so beautiful? Is it the father who made her so beautiful, or the mother who made her so beautiful? No, God made her that beautiful. This is a gift from God. God is the creator of your beautiful children. God is, because you can't make DNA. You can't do any of those things. This is my other granddaughter. This is Cora and Luna. right? And we say, who made the first smile on this grandchild? Who made that smile? Did you make that smile? No, you can't make it. But when your grandchildren smile, can you resist smiling? Sometimes if I'm working and I'm having a hard time and I'm just thinking, God, what am I doing here? I go to my camera, I open up another, I have 5,000 pictures of grandchildren. And I look at my grandchildren and my body automatically smiles, right? When you see your children smile, parents, mothers, how many mothers, if your child is happy, you made a lunch or a meal and they were happy and they're laughing and they're eating your food, how many of you smile? Everybody. Because it's not natural. We say it's supernatural. We say that's supernatural. That's God putting in you. God is the one who made grandchildren to smile so that grandparents would smile, and then we would worship God automatically. You would worship God automatically. I always teach, who made grandparents? God made grandparents. God made you a grandparent. Who designed grandparents to be filled with love for their children? It's not biology, it's divinity. It's divinity that does that. God made that. Who made grandchildren to be so beautiful that your heart cannot stop loving them ever? Right? God. That's what we are. So that's why we're a family church. That's why a church and family church, God being a parent, is the essential reality of our life on earth, right? So we say, make the most of your time with your family. When I was a younger pastor, we had a lot of young parents. I would say, fathers, this is for FatherCon, on your way home from work, you stop and you drink a big cup of coffee. Remember that, man? I'd say, drink a cup of coffee so you'll have energy to play with your kids when you get home. So, I will always love my grandchildren, and loving your children is natural, but listen to this. It's not automatic. It's not automatic. You can waste your time on the phone, like Patrick said. You can waste your time at work. Although we know work is essential. By the way, I got a degree, associate science degree from Mira Mesa College in construction technology. So loving your children is natural, but it's not automatic. Business, jobs, errands, separate time, and I'm still running my business from home, but I take time to take care of the kids, one way or the other. You must take time to take care of your family and your children, right? So I have to spend time to love these kids because it's a special blessing of time. We think this is loving your children is preparation for you to go to heaven. If you want to be in heaven and Jesus is there building a home for you, who's going to be in the home? I know some people think, well, angels will be there. No, your family's going to be there, or it's not a home, right? You can't think it's a home if my kids are over there or whatever. A home is where your wife, your children, your grandparents, your mother, father, everybody is. That's heaven. So I say, my grandchildren, where does this come from? Here's Jesus. People were bringing little children to Jesus for him to place his hands on them. But the disciples, knuckleheads, rebuked them. When Jesus saw this, he was indignant. That means he was yelling at them. Look, idiots, bring the children here. That's what it's all about. It's about family church. Bring the little kids to me and don't hinder them at all. Right? Don't hinder them, for the kingdom of God belongs to such as these. This is the kingdom of God. That's why we're family church. Because this is the kingdom of God, right? Truly I tell you, anyone who will not receive the kingdom of God like a little child will never enter it. And he took the children in his arms, placed his hands on them, and blessed them. Was he too busy? Was he too busy building the kingdom of heaven, doing things, preaching sermons? I got to write a sermon. I'm too busy. No. He touched them, held them, loved them, kissed them, sang lullabies to them, healed them. That's what life is supposed to be about. That's why we're family church, right? And that's why we're family federation. So I'm a Christian because Jesus appeared to me at a terrible time in my life where I thought I should end it all. Jesus appeared to me and told me, I love you. Nobody else. I come from a broken home. All the bad stories you can think of happened. But Jesus loves me. And Jesus loves you, just like you said. Jesus was always there. You couldn't see him, couldn't know, but he was always there protecting you. And of course, he's a witness to millions of others, including the founder of our church, Reverend Dr. Moon. I love Reverend Moon's teaching because he's fulfilling the universal law of love of God and of our neighbors. That's why we're here, right? And it looks like this. So this is their wedding ceremony. But what was it about? Our Church of Reverend Moon and Holy Mother Han has exemplified these two great commandments. What? Luke. So he answered and said, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, with all your strength, with all your mind, and you love your neighbor as yourself. That's special to me. That's meaning in my life. That's something we have to do, right? So, unfortunately, by here's what we think, and this is really important to me. By creating an interracial, international, and interfaith community. So in our organization, we have programs where we invite every religion, every race, every continent, every person, and we have dinner together because we think it's important to love your neighbor as yourself. We think one of the most, in the name of God, Spirit of God, Creator, one of the biggest problems on earth is interracism, interracial hatred, and also interreligious hatred. Right? Do I have to read you the newspaper this morning? It's a giant problem.
Absolutely.
So we think we need to love other people, right? So this is holy, we call her Mother Moon, Holy Mother Han. We think she's a holy mother, right? Because she is a mother. She has 14 children. Think about it, ladies. Giving birth to 14 children. And we think that what she teaches, that this love of family is natural. Not only is it natural, it's supernatural. Not only is it supernatural, it's universal. Yeah. Whether we talk about women, or African American women, or African women, or Indian, is my daughter who's Navajo Indian, or it's Hindu women, whoever it is, right? Mm-hmm. All women naturally, supernaturally love their children. And they should be protected and guided. All groups. Mm-hmm. So our family federation means we believe the family of all human beings is one family. You're my brothers and sisters. So that leads us, look at this woman, saving her little boy. Isn't that amazing? So this is what we believe this leads to for us. We encourage, invite, beg young people to live a life of abstinence and then marry, if possible, interracially. Because look, here's an African man, here's an Asian woman. Here's all her family, right? All Asian family. And here's all his family, all African family. What happens when those two have a kid? Are the grandparents going to love or not? They're going to love their child who's half Asian and half African, and the other side is going to love their child who's half African. And then we believe this resolves interracial, interfaith hatred, because then we really are one family under God, isn't it? If your cousin is from Africa and your cousin is from Asia, do you feel comfortable going to those countries and being with those people? Would you say, yes, the government wants to make war in Uganda? No, you wouldn't. That's the whole goal of what we do. And by the way, we do this by the thousands. Thousands. Because we're crazy. Because we're crazy about family. We know this is the route to the kingdom of heaven on earth. You know, it is the right way to get to the kingdom of heaven on earth. On the other hand, do people think we're crazy? Yeah, sure, of course they do. My wife and I got married with, 4,498 of our best friends and family in Madison Square Garden. People thought we were crazy, but we're crazy good. We're crazy good. We now have thousands of children from those marriages, right? Is that good or bad? Good, I say it's good. Look at all these kids are happy, right? They're all getting married at one time. And they'll stay married. You'll see. So based on that, based on our ideals, we want to honor Mrs. Rohida Khan with this Ambassador of Peace Award. Because what is Rohida Khan doing? If children are the greatest treasure of God, and Rohida is out there saving children from evil traffickers, is that good or bad? It's the greatest thing in the world that you can do. Does that make sense? Patrick Erlandson and Jessica, you're doing all these things. So let me read what this means. Let me see if I did this right. Oh, let me continue this. Reverend Mrs. Moon and we want to encourage good works. Why do we give these Ambassador Peace Awards away to people? We give over 100,000 of them so far, and we try to keep people in communication of every faith, every race, every religion. There's ambassadors for peace who believe the same things. So Reverend Mrs. Moon, and we want to encourage good works that bring peace to people. Hasn't Mrs. Rohida Khan saved young women? Absolutely, yes. We want to encourage you. Do you know why? Because like she said, there's lots of evil out there who want to destroy your good works. There's lots of evil people out there, traffickers who want to, but there's worse than that. There's whole ideologies that want to, just like Patrick Erlandson, they're teaching young women to think that children are a parasite, not a treasure. They're teaching them in college that. So what we're trying to do is teach people the value of true love, the value of love, right? So does the world always appreciate good works of others? No. Jesus Christ, most loving man in the world, who loved those little children, they murdered him. Abraham Lincoln, who freed all the slaves in the United States, they murdered him. Mahatma Gandhi, who freed India, he was murdered. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who freed us from segregation, they murdered him. So we want to encourage you to continue, because there will be evil, there will be people who are against you. There will be. So this is our Holy Mother Han, and the woman who started this peace movement at this moment, unfortunately, language is in prison. Do you know that? Because people hate the idea of this crazy family movement. There's lots of people who don't like family movements, are against familyism, whether they're traffickers or whoever they are, right? They're against it. So our Holy Mother Han is unfortunately at this moment in prison in a government in South Korea. So Ambassadors for Peace, launched in 2001. Ambassadors for Peace is the largest and most diverse network of peace leaders. As of 2020, there are over 100,000 ambassadors for peace from 160 countries who came from all walks of life, representing many races, religions, and nationalities, cultures, and to commit to one, knowledge that all people originate from one Creator God, share a common spiritual nature, and are capable of living together as one harmonious human family. That's what this is all about. We living together in harmony forever with everybody. So this is one of our meetings, and you notice we have representatives from all kinds of religions, backgrounds, races, lifestyles, whatever. We believe in this, and we put our money where our mouth is. That's why we invite people and do these kinds of things. So this is Ambassador for Peace, and I'll read it. It says, Universal Peace Federation acknowledges as ambassadors for peace those individuals whose lives exemplify the ideal of living for the sake of others and who dedicate themselves to practices which promote universal moral values, strong family life, interreligious cooperation, international harmony. Right? We encourage and promote interreligious harmony and communication. We make friends with our Muslim brothers and sisters, our Hebrew brothers and sisters, other Christians, all kinds of groups, and establish a culture of peace transcending racial, national, religious barriers. And the Ambassadors for Peace contribute to the fulfillment of the hope of all ages, a unified world of peace wherein the spiritual mature dimensions of life are harmonized. The Universal Peace Federation is proud to hereby recognize as Ambassador of Peace, Mrs. Rohida Khan. Women's Federation for World Peace and Unification honors your work, but most of your heart.
Yeah.
This is called an Ambassador of Peace Award. That's what they call it, because United Nations. I call it an Ambassador of Love Award. Because what you're really doing is loving people beyond everyday life, right? I'm sure Jessica will agree. It's true love. So, Mrs. Khan, we'd like to invite you up. We have this wonderful Ambassador for a Peace Award. Sorry. So,
Thank you.
we shake hands with you. Right hand, just like that.
Big hug.
Okay, yeah. You hug too. Okay, here's what we say. Yes, we are close and warm. The opposite of far out and cool. And we have a present. We have a present for you.
Oh,
Bringing
thank
forward.
you so much. That's very sweet. Thank you so much. Thank you for doing all the wonderful work that you guys do.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
One more photograph,
I have a picture by ourselves.
and then, okay. And then we'd like to invite up Patrick Erlandson and Jessica We have gifts for you as well.
Thank you.
Patrick? And we get a nice picture all together. Yeah, hold your presents.
Thank you.
There we go. Okay, good
Thank you
picture.
very much. That's very, very kind.
Close in and warm. Yeah, good. Good idea. Got it? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think they deserve a real loud round of applause.
Okay, one more minute. This is a church, and we're going to invite the local pastor's wife to offer a closing prayer, after which Jasmine is going to explain the lunch venue. We have several venues of lunch. Jasmine, you want to come up? So, because we're family church, then we pray not as a pastor, he's not the boss. The really boss is the wife. And so we pray together. So can we all rise, please? Can we all rise? And we're going to offer prayer. If you can join us in prayer. Dearest Heavenly Father, Jesus taught us that you're not a Lord or God or King or Master. You're really a Heavenly Father, a Heavenly Parent who wants the best for your children and wants to come down from heaven and live as a grandparent with your children. We truly pray, Heavenly Father, that this idea, that these ideals and ideas in the 21st century can take root so people can understand they aren't lost children. We don't want to have lost children. We want to have found children who have fathers, mothers. We want to encourage people for a family federation to unite as families together to stop evil and protect their children from these evil traffickers and all this evil. We thank you for saving Jessica. We thank you for the work of Rohida Khan and Patrick Erlandson and our own church and all our church leaders who are working to this event. We thank you for Jesus Christ who gave his life to teach us that this is the value of our lives. This is why we're alive. This is why we're on earth. We want to thank you, pray for your grace in this meeting and your grace upon our lunch, and be blessing all these brothers and sisters, all our family members who couldn't be here, and all mankind. We thank you, offer prayers to you, upholding the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, in the name of our true parents and Holy Mother Han. Adieu and amen.
Adieu.
Thank you for coming to church. Oh, and by the way, we have these. If you'd like to have a cordial relationship with our organization, we have this little form you can fill out, and we'll invite you to all our events, and you'll be invited, and you can be a guest speaker if you want to be. So we're going to hand these out at lunch, and please sign them up.